Dr. Arturo Menefee is the Director of Leadership Development for the University of Alabama Center for Economic Development. He has more than 15 years of professional and academic experience in leadership, community, diversity, health, workforce, and economic development. While serving as the president of the Greater Peace Community Development Corporation, he was instrumental in the development of a youth leadership academy, the establishment of an entrepreneurship training program to assist non-custodial fathers, and led an initiative to construct 48 single-family homes in an economically distressed community in Opelika, Alabama. He is an award-winning author. He received his Ph.D. in Public Policy Administration from Auburn University, and he is a global fellow at the Manufacturing Diversity Institute, MDI, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Arturo is the project leader for the Equitable Neighborhoods Initiative, an initiative focused on addressing health inequity issues in minority and underserved communities throughout Alabama. Dr. Menefee is committed and passionate about empowering people and building communities. To all, Dr. Arturo Menefee.
Stand, come on, stand, come on, stand, come on. Stand up, come on, let's go. Clap your hands, come on. I need to feel the energy, come on. Let's go, come on. I don't do ordinary, I'm sorry. I don't do ordinary, okay? Let me take a check over here. Let me see what you're working with. You got it? Go. Oh, she said no, okay, what about you? Oh, she got it, that's what I'm talking about. What about you? What about this table? What you got? You're like, oh no, not me. Okay, that's all right. Come on, clap your hands, come on. Let me go over and get this side. What you got, my friend? Oh, okay. Don't hurt nobody. Okay. Let me come and get one of my good friends over here. Go Grenell. Oh, okay. All right, come on. Raise it up. Get it up. Come on, everybody. I need to feel the energy. All right. Thank you. Please have your seats. Thank you. If you're ready to have a good time today, say yes. No. I told you I don't do ordinary. I didn't fly all the way from Alabama to get a weak yes. If you're ready to have a good time, say yes. If you're ready to learn something today, say, oh, yes. If you're ready to learn something, have a good time, and receive some life-changing information, say, okay. Now look to a neighbor and say, today is my day. Look to another neighbor and say, today is my day. Now look to the sky and to the birds and say, today is my day. Now give yourselves a round of applause. Come on. You better claim it. Each and every day the opportunity clock goes off, you better claim it. You better claim your day, because you know what? If you don't, somebody else will claim the day for you. So claim your day. Now, many of you all are probably not familiar with me. How many of you all have heard me speak before? By show of hands. Okay, 3 people. Okay, wow. I am not that popular in Milwaukee, right? Well, but you're gonna learn a lot about me. So let's do this. Let's take this quick test, and it's very important. So I know some of you all are still eating, but I really want you to participate in this, okay? So I'm gonna give you 3 objects, and I want you to identify with one of those objects, and I'm gonna ask you to stand when I call on that particular object, okay? So I want you to think about a triangle, a square, and a circle. Don't tell your neighbors. I just want you to stand when I call the one that you most identify with. A triangle, a triangle, a square, and a circle, okay? If you selected the triangle, please stand. Triangle, okay? According to a Harvard survey, you are highly creative individuals. Let's give you a round of applause. Yes. Okay, please be seated. Please be seated. If you selected the square, please stand. All of my squares, if you selected a square, stand. Just joking. Okay, according to a Harvard survey, you're a highly intelligent individual, so give yourselves a round of applause. All right. Now, if you selected the circle, please stand. Circles. Circle. Wow, okay. Okay. According to a Harvard survey, your mind is preoccupied with thinking about sex, drugs, and alcohol for more than 80% of the day. True survey. No, just joking. Now, how many of y'all want to convert to the circle, right? No, that was just a joke, just a jokey joke. So don't go home and tell anyone about this particular survey. But again, it was just to get you moving. I love energy in my presentations, and I always like to start things off a little lighthearted because we do so much work, so much amazing work, but sometimes it's tough, and sometimes it's a struggle, and we really need to focus on ourselves. We really need to focus on our physical as well as our mental health, and laughing helps. And so anytime I can bring a laugh to someone, that's exactly what I want to do. Before I begin, I am a gratitude kind of guy, and I'm very appreciative and thankful for all of my opportunities. And so I cannot begin my presentation without thanking a few people first. I want to thank Dr. Hinton. I want to thank Abra Fortson. I want to thank Chantel and the entire SDC team. Let's give them the amazing round of applause. Yes, certainly want to thank them. So very glad to be here. On August the 28th, 1963, at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., Dr. Martin Luther King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. In that speech, Dr. King made a call for racial and social justice. The phrase, "the fierce urgency of now," was a bold but prophetic statement that still applies to us today. And so for my presentation, the urgency of right now, even though we were impacted by Dr. King's speech, and we certainly are fans of Dr. King. And again, this occurred back in the 1960s, but what he said was so true because it is still impacting us today, right now. So the urgency of right now is, yes, immediate, meaning immediately. So we're focused on that right now, but I also use the word right because it is the root word for righteousness. It is morally right for what we are doing here today. So I want to thank you all because, again, it is morally right for what you all are doing, and it is long overdue. So please continue to do what you do. But I want to tell you how we're trying to make a difference in Alabama through the Equitable Neighborhoods Initiative. So now I am leading this effort, but in order for me to lead this effort, I wanted to let you all know just a little bit about me so you'll kind of understand my background and how and why I am leading this effort for the state of Alabama. So my mom and dad divorced when I was 5 years old. There were 7 of us, my mom and dad, 7 kids. And so my mom was forced to raise 7 kids by herself. So one day at the age of 9, I came into my mom's house and she was sitting at the kitchen table and all the other kids had gone to sleep. When there's 6 other sisters and brothers in the house, you have to make an appointment just to go to the bathroom. So I would always stay up late to do my homework and to do other things that I needed to do. And so one night I was up and my mom was sitting at the kitchen table. And so I walked up, I said, "Mom, what are you doing?" And she said, "Well, I'm just trying to figure out how I'm gonna pay these bills." And I said, "Well, what bills do you have, Mom?" And she went down a long list of bills. I said, "Okay." She said, "But baby, don't you worry about it. You go ahead and you go to bed and we'll talk about it later." So I said, "Okay." So I went to bed, but I couldn't sleep for some reason. I tossed and I turned all night because I was wanting to do something to help my mom out. Because again, I didn't want to see my mom struggle having to raise 7 kids by herself. So I tossed and turned all that night. I did not get a good night's sleep. But I woke up that next morning and I said, aha, I figured it out. And so I ran to my mom right away. I said, "Mom, you know what I'm going to do for you?" She said, "What, baby?" I said, I'm gonna pay this house off for you. And she said, okay, but make sure you don't miss that bus because you gotta go to school. So I said, okay. So I went and I told my brothers and sisters, and you know how older brothers and sisters can be. They didn't even pay attention to me. They just said, hey, get out of my face. I said, okay. Then I went to school, and I told all my friends in school, and they said, well, you're a 9-year-old kid. You don't have 2 pennies to rub together. What are you gonna do? I said, okay, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. So while I was at school that day, again, just speaking honestly, I didn't necessarily like the school lunch. I'm sure you have phenomenal school lunches here in Milwaukee. I am not talking about that, but for me at that particular time, I didn't like the school lunches, and so I wasn't eating the school lunches. And so what I decided to do, I said, well, hey, if I'm not eating it and I'm giving it away anyway, maybe somebody will give me some money for it. So I said, hey, you want my cookie for 25 cents? Or you want my donut for 20 cents? And so that was my first entrepreneurial venture as a youth. And so I continued to do that. And then I went and I bought a lawnmower and I started cutting grass on the weekends because, again, I had to focus on that goal that I wanted to pay off my mom's house. And then I'm gonna show my age here a little bit, but I started collecting cans and the glass bottles. How many of y'all have done that before? Okay, yeah, okay. So you all are hip. So I started collecting cans and glass bottles. And then I finally was eventually old enough to work. I started working 1 job. I started working 2 jobs. I started working 3 jobs. I started working at night. I started working on the weekends. I started working Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, whenever I could work, I was gonna work because I was committed and passionate about fulfilling that goal. So one day I came home, I said, Mom, let's take a ride. She said, where are we going? I said, we're going to celebrate. So while we were out, I said, I need to stop by this financial institution right quick. Do you mind coming in with me? She said, absolutely not. So she came on in, and we were there. And so the teller came up and I said, I'm here to pay off the house note for Kate Menefee. And so at that time, I wrote the largest check, and even to this day, I've never written a check that large before. I handed it over to the young lady. She gave me her receipt. She gave me my receipt. I turned to my mom and said, Mom, I have finally fulfilled that promise of paying off your house at this particular time. Thank you. And just for good measure, I got a house remodeled. I bought her a new car. I got her entire house furnished. And I bought an acre of land right beside her just in case if she ever wanted to expand. So I say all that to say, I learned one thing that's so very valuable at that time, even when I was 9 years old, when I first had that idea. And you all should write this down. I know some of you all are still eating, but this one is worth the price of admission, trust me. The one thing I realized is that one of the most powerful forces in this world is a made-up mind. I'm gonna say that one again, because some of y'all didn't catch it, okay? One of the most powerful forces in the world is a made-up mind. That little 9-year-old kid who didn't have 2 cents in his pocket was able to save up a significant amount of money to pay off his mom's house. And he did all of that because he had it made up in his mind. So I say all that to say, this is me leading this particular project. I said earlier that this was all about the right thing to do, and we got to have a sense of urgency. These communities have been overlooked and have not received the attention that they need to receive for many, many years. And so let me tell you about the Equitable Neighborhoods Initiative. So this initiative it was actually funded by the CDC out of Atlanta and the Alabama Department of Public Health. And this initiative it equips communities to address the COVID-19 pandemic-related issues of today while building capacity to deal with the health and quality of life challenges of tomorrow. So essentially, yes, COVID got us there. We're addressing those COVID-19 issues because, again, COVID hit us all, but it really hit those underserved communities extremely hard. And so we definitely want to address that. But while we're in these communities, we also realize that there are social determinants of health, these things that have been present there long before COVID even came about that no one really ever even paid attention to. The individuals in the communities and the nonprofits in the communities have, but again, on a large scale, many of these communities have been overlooked for so long. And so we're there to address those particular issues. Now, so our approach, let's talk about our approach. And we like to think that we take a unique community building approach to health equity, because that's really what this project is all about. It's about health equity. And so let's talk about equity. And so equity is really all about fairness and justice. It's about recognizing that we do not all start from the same place and we all have different needs. And so our goal is to provide the resources and the opportunities so that we can all have positive outcomes in those various communities. So that's what we're focused on. This is a health equity project. So we want to do what we can to assist you in accomplishing your goals in regards to health equity. That's our message to these particular communities. Empowerment. Basically empowerment is all about someone having the power to act, the power to do something. And so when we're working with these communities, we're saying to you, hey, we're here to help, but we're following your lead. We're coaching, we're mentoring, we're assisting, but this is your community. And we want to show you just how important you are, and we are willing to follow your lead. Of course, with our assistance, with our resources, with our support, but we're all about building your capacity and allowing you to lead. Because our project is not going to be in that particular community forever. And so we focus on capacity building because eventually one day, not eventually one day, it's their time to lead now, and we're here to assist with that. Asset focus. When we go into communities, the first thing that we're looking for your assets. We're looking for the talents. We're looking for the resources. We're looking for the partnerships. We don't go in asking anything about problems or issues. If you go in asking about problems or issues, that's what we refer to as deficit thinking. And if you have this deficit thinking, you're already behind. You're already behind, and that's not us. And so we go in and focus on assets. This is what we refer to as abundance thinking. We like to think that we start from a place of having something. And so we identify these goals, and then we see how we can utilize these resources to help with those particular goals. Compassion. We're compassionate people. Yes, we care about getting things done in those communities that we're working in, but we care about the people more. We want to make sure that people know and understand that we care for them. Some of you all may be unaware of this, but even before my speech today, I went around the room and I think to just about every table and I introduced myself, right? I did that because I wanted to say, hey, I'm not just here to speak and lead. I'm here to connect with you. I want to know what your issues are. I want to know about you, and I want to know how I can help. And it all starts from building relationships. So everyone on my team, everyone on our team, that's what we're focused on. We're focused on people, not projects. Community-driven. As I stated earlier, and you will see this in the model, but this is community-driven. Yes, we go in because we have some really smart people at the University of Alabama. And so we go in with our plans and our ideas, but ultimately it's the community's decision. And we're willing to follow the community's lead. And we have enough people at the community level so that they understand exactly what we offer and what we bring to the table. And then we figure out what are their priorities and how we can best assist them as they're moving towards those priorities. So it is a community-driven project. And lastly, but certainly not least, our approach is to be culturally cognizant. We're working with various cultures, and I'll talk to you about some of those cultures in just a moment, but we want them to know, hey, your culture is important, and we want your culture to be front and center in everything that we do. We don't want you to shy away from your culture. We don't want you to feel like you're not a part of our overall community, because you are important and you matter, and we make that clear each and every time we meet with them. And everything that we do, their culture is front and center, and we love that. Okay, so let's talk about the model. So the first thing we had to do was to assemble a team. And I like to say this is an absolutely great team. It's very diverse. We have Asians on our team. We have Hispanics. We have African Americans, Native Americans, young, old, white. We have former IBM executives. We have former college professors and college administrators on our team. We have individuals that are retired military personnel. We have individuals that have worked with the VA. And so, of course, we have individuals that are engaged in outdoor recreation and community economic development. So we have a very diverse team, and that really matters, and that's important. Also, everyone on our team, they're not in Alabama. We have individuals from Chicago. We have an individual from Milwaukee. We're going to talk about that in a second. We have an individual from Tennessee, from Atlanta, and of course throughout the state of Alabama. So again, I wanted to say that because good ideas don't have a boundary. Good ideas don't have boundaries, meaning that, yes, we're taking all this information and resource and expertise in, but all of that energy is what we need in Alabama. So a lot of times, sometimes you got to go outside of your state or your current neighborhood to get the expertise and assistance that you need to better develop your local community, your local neighborhood, or your state. And that's exactly what we've done. And so we're very proud of the team that we have assembled. We had to establish the criteria for selection. Again, this is all about equity. So we had to make sure this was a fair and open and honest process for selecting these communities. And so we identified things that were related to social determinants of health. We looked at that, and my team and I, we went over the numbers time and time and time again. We went over them at least 5 times. And then we took an additional step. We actually went to the communities, and we wanted to see that, okay, does what we have on this piece of paper match what is in the community? So we went into the communities, we interviewed people, and we did a very diligent job to make sure that we got it right. And I feel that we did. And that's very important. And then the next thing was to identify and to select the communities. Now, let me tell you about the diversity of our communities. So we're working in 2 Native American communities, we're working in 2 Asian communities, we're working in 4 Hispanic communities, and we're working in 7 African American communities. So that's a total of 15 communities. And things are going so well. That was our original goal, and things are going so well, I think we're going to be able to expand that and to work in at least 19 to 20 communities because of our early successes. And then we had to select a community liaison. Again, me from the University of Alabama in this community, yes, that's one thing. But if it's one of your very own, from your own community, from your local neighborhood, that really says something. That's part of our effort to build local trust. Because again, we know that you know your communities better than we do. And that was our whole idea going in. We wanted to make sure, hey, yeah, we're smart people, we have ideas, but we want someone there from the local community. And so for all of these communities, we hired a local liaison that's there living in that community. They are embedded in that community, and they know that community extremely well, and they're helping us to carry out the project there locally, which has been amazing. We have some amazing community liaisons, and they've done a terrific job. We also want to host kickoff events. Now, whenever we do something, it's really like I would say a celebratory event. It's a celebration. How did I start? Music, coming in, dancing, getting people up, moving around, having energy. Started off with a joke. Guess what? We start all of our events off that way. Because again, it's a celebration. So when we go into your community, we're just not here to present a guidebook or to tell you about this. No, we're here to say, congratulations. We're here to celebrate. It's a celebratory event. And that's a great way for us to build relationships, but also just, again, to have a good time with these communities. These communities have gone through so much, and we want to let them know, hey, it's okay. We're here to have a good time. We're here to help. And they know we're there, and we're serious about helping them, but we also want to make sure that we're serious about celebrating their successes and celebrating their culture. And so that's something that we always do. And we have had some really nice kickoffs. And so I wish you guys could have participated in that, but our kickoffs have been amazing. And as a result of those kickoffs, we also brought in a motivational speaker. Because again, it's not just, we didn't want to be the same old program where, okay, we come, we tell you about the program, and that's it. No, we wanted to come, we wanted to celebrate. We brought in a motivational speaker because we want these individuals to get excited about their own communities. Because in a lot of communities, and you all know this even better than myself, is that it's the same folks in the same communities, and those individuals are tired. They're tired. And so our goal was to help them and to inspire them and to show them that, hey, we are here to help. Okay, so stage 2 is all about establishing our infrastructure, and I would say human infrastructure. So the first thing we had to do is that we had to go to these communities, working with our local liaisons, and we had to establish an adult advisory group. Again, the liaisons are wonderful, but they can't do it all by themselves. And so they had to identify some stakeholders that would serve on this advisory this advisory board. So for this advisory board, we're asking them to do two things: to advise, of course, and also to assist. And they don't necessarily have to assist with everything that's going on in their community, but we do ask them to be engaged and to be involved in whatever they have time to be engaged with. And so that has been very important. And we want to hear the different ideas. Again, we went in, we have the local liaison, but there's a whole lot of people in that particular community, and we want to hear from them. And so in doing so, we had to make sure that we had a good group, the right group at the table. And we're very open and transparent. And at every meeting, we will always ask them who's missing. Invite them to the meeting, because this is an open book as far as what we're doing in that particular community. So we invite people to the table. We don't turn them away. Number two, or the next one, we wanted to form youth community councils. We don't do anything in the community without focusing on our youth. Yes. I know it's cliche, but the youth are our future. And so when we go into to these communities, that's one of the first things that we'll always focus on: the youth. What are the youth doing? How's your schools? How are you engaging the youth? What activities do we have for the youth? And I can tell you right now, in some of our communities, there's not a whole lot going on for the youth. And as a result, what do you think is happening? People are graduating from high school and they're leaving that community. Well, these are already small communities. Some of the communities that we're working with, we're talking about a population of 500, 700, 1,000. You have neighborhoods in Milwaukee that are larger than that, right? So again, we really have to focus on the youth, because the youth are so important. They're going to be your next leaders. They're going to be your economic drivers. And if you don't focus on the youth, you're going to miss that. And eventually, they're most likely going to leave your community and find another community to locate in and to have a family. So we wanted to focus on the youth. So we bring the youth together and we ask them to participate, and we have a program set up for them, and we get their ideas and we take their ideas into account, because we want to let them know at this stage that they matter. You matter. Yeah, we're working with some adults here, but you are just as important. And we make that clear in everything that we do. We also had some required trainings. Because of COVID, we wanted to do the contact tracing training, which was very important. But one thing that we're also doing is that we're focusing on mental health first aid. We all know COVID definitely affected us physically, but man, did it affect us mentally as well, right? Not being able to go anywhere, not being able to do things as we would normally do pre-COVID. I think it was a Boston University survey, and this is actually a real survey. But a Boston University survey said that before COVID, the depression rate in America was about 5%. During COVID, it jumped up to 35%. And we're not even talking about anxiety or suicide ideation or anything like that. So all those numbers greatly increased. And so we certainly wanted to focus on mental health first aid. We also initiated a resource directory in these communities, because again, they had a really good idea of the local resources, but we also focus on the outer areas to maybe see what other resources were available in the counties. Like for instance, in every county in Alabama, we have a county health department, and every county has telehealth services. Some of those individual communities were unaware of that. And so again, we helped them with developing this resource directory. Of course, we launched a website and social media. And again, we're trying to find the right mix, because there's so many social media outlets. And so we decided on Facebook, as some of our friends will say, we decided on Facebook for the old folks, okay? And Instagram for the young folks. And so I think that's a real good mix. And as a result, I think we've communicated with over 13,000 people. Now again, that doesn't sound like a lot, but again, think about the size of these towns that I'm talking about. And so that's been very helpful. And then a healing zone location. I'm gonna spend a little time on this because I wanna really kind of give you some background on this healing zone location. So when I first became aware of this project, I looked at several different health models throughout the country in Connecticut, Rhode Island. I looked at some things out in California and several other places. And so one of my colleagues, mentors, and former professors, Dr. Keenan Grinnell, he sent me something one day. And I said, Doc, what is this? He said, I just want you to read it. We'll communicate from time to time. He'll send me stuff to read. That's just kind of our relationship. So he's the constant teacher. So I'm just reading this, and at the time, again, the grant wasn't available, but I'm reading this thing in Milwaukee called Healing Spaces. So I said, okay, sounds interesting. So then about a month later or so, this opportunity came up. And so in Rhode Island, I saw something that said health equity zones. And then I recall the information Dr. Grinnell sent me that said healing spaces. I said, okay, so healing zones. So, so our healing zones, I would say that I owe a debt of gratitude for Milwaukee for helping us to create the idea of healing zones. So Milwaukee, give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, you can do better than that. Come on, give yourselves a round of applause, yeah. And so, we're so excited about this. And a healing zone essentially is a natural outdoor space that is focused on promoting healthy behaviors. And we like to say it's focused on rest, relaxation, and rejuvenation. And so there's several different components that'll be in a healing zone, and we have 15 that we're working with now, and all of them are a little different, but we'll have walking trails there, seating areas, exercise equipment. We have a little freestanding library where people can read books, because again, reading, all of that does really well as far as your mental health. We also have gardens, and we have raised garden beds for veterans or for individuals with disabilities. And then we also were very lucky to be able to acquire some additional funding to put some sensory items there in the park for kids and individuals with autism. So we're super excited about our healing zones, and we're currently working on those. But again, just wanted to make that acknowledgement to Milwaukee and to show you how a good idea can come from another location. So in phase 3, we're actually starting to develop the health equity plans. and again, we're kind of right here now. We're developing our health equity plans. We are really developing, I would say, an action plan, because these communities, they're ready for action. Remember I said right now, they're ready for action. And so with our action plans, we're focused on a year or 2 years out. And individuals have already started to talk about the things that they want to include in their plan. So you all remember the golden rule, right? The golden rule is to treat others how you would like to be treated. Well, for us, we modified that a little bit. We have the new modified golden rule, and it is to treat others how they want to be treated. Because again, we understand that, yes, we have ideas, and we feel like we know what you ought to be focused on, but ultimately it's left up to you. And so when we build that relationship with you, we're saying, hey, what are the 3 or 4 things that you want to focus on in your plan? Now we're coming and we're educating, because we're a university, and so we educate, and we do a really good job at that. So if you need to know information about this or a particular issue that's affecting your community, we're going to make you aware of that. But ultimately, we are following your lead, that local community's lead, which is very important. And so also in this phase, we'll start to install the items for our healing zone. We have an amazing art department at the University of Alabama. They have actually made a lot of the equipment that's going into those healing zones, and they've also agreed to actually travel to all of these different sites to install this equipment. So we're very appreciative and thankful for that. This is also a community capacity building effort, a volunteer effort, because again, we're going to have volunteers from the local community, local artists that are going to come out. The youth are going to help in designing a logo or naming the actually healing zone itself. So it is totally remember I said earlier, it's a community-driven project. It is totally a community-focused effort, and everybody in the community is invited to participate. And then, of course, we have our leadership capacity. We realized that we really needed to build the capacity of the local leaders there, and not only the local leadership, but local residents and everyone that was a stakeholder in that community. We needed to focus on efforts that would help you, and so we're very flexible. We're doing workshops there locally, in-person workshops. We're doing webinars, and we also are doing educational videos. And let me just give you a little sample of our educational videos. If you'll start the first video, please.
Let's talk about transformational change. It's a really different focus. In transformational change, we focus more on fundamental changes in the structures and the systems that hurt the people that we serve. And when I talk about systems in this respect, I'm talking about the economic system, the political system, the educational system, the criminal justice system, the healthcare system. So those systems in our community that frequently don't work for all of us.
Okay, second video, please.
We've got people in poverty across this country from every single ethnicity in the United States. And so when you see CAP agencies, you're going to see CAP agencies in all 50 states. And we're going to be all kind of look a little differently because we are purposed to look at our community and then design our programming and our strategies around the needs of the communities in which we serve. So no CAP agencies look the same, but we all have the same basic mission.
Yes. Let's give a big round of applause to Frank Martinelli and Dr. George Hinton. Come on, y'all. Let's give them, come on. See, I told you we're going outside of Alabama to get ideas. Remember, I told you good ideas don't necessarily have any boundaries on them. And I wanted to make that absolutely clear. Dr. Keenan Grinnell, he is that person from Milwaukee that I spoke about earlier. He is our educational coordinator. So he is leading this effort for us in Alabama, and he's doing it from here. But he's all over the place. As a matter of fact, we're actually having a retreat next week in Alabama, and Dr. Grinnell is going to be there doing some work with us. And so we are so very grateful and thankful to you as well, sir. So thank you. Let's give Dr. Grinnell a round of applause. Can we do that? Okay. Very good. So, stage 4 is simple. It's the health equity plans. We've developed those plans. We're going to begin installing items with our healing zones. We're going to continue the leadership and capacity building. That will actually continue through the entire project. And then we're going to start hosting our youth regional summits. See, what we realized that a lot of these youth had not been exposed to other opportunities outside of their immediate neighborhood or community. And so we're bringing together 3 or 4 communities at a time, and they're going to have the opportunity to travel, to participate in various educational programs, and to be exposed to different opportunities and cultures, which I feel is very important. And so that's something that we're focused on. Remember I said earlier, we don't go in any community without focusing on the youth because they are that important. And so in stage 5, it's all about sustainability. And so we've already talked about the health equity plans. And so every 3 months, we're going to do what we call a health plan checkup. So that means we're going to review that plan, and we're going to say, hey, are we on path to fulfill these particular goals? So we're going to look at that. And if not, we're going to adjust. This is a very flexible project. And again, we are here to meet the needs of the local community. And that's exactly the way we have assembled our team and our structure so that we can be flexible and assist that local community. And so as far as sustainability, we'll have the local liaisons in the communities. We have the advisory groups. We have the youth community councils, and we'll have the healing zones. So that's human infrastructure and physical infrastructure that we're leaving there in that community. And we're even in the process right now of identifying partners and resources to assist, because again, this project is scheduled to end in May of 24. And so we know this project is not gonna go in forever. And so we're going in with the mindset that we gotta do something right now to make sure that this project is sustainable and sustainable for a long time. We've even, for the healing zones, we work with the local governments. For most of them, they've adopted a resolution to maintain the healing zones. We also have some nonprofits that have agreed to help, some volunteer groups that have agreed to help. So we already have all those, or we already have most of those agreements in place, which I feel is very important. And so again, we want to build the capacity of the local residents. I'm actually doing a workshop tomorrow on leadership development. A few weeks ago, we did something on grant writing because there was a group of volunteers, retired teachers. They wanted to be more actively engaged in their communities. And they said, well, I'm a good writer. I have time. Maybe I can write some grants that could help us to sustain this particular project. Thought it was a great idea. And so that's one way we're building the capacity of local residents to make sure they're involved and engaged. And then we're also going to eventually launch our community volunteer certificate program, health volunteer certificate program, because again, we want to educate people on health in their communities, and we want to make sure that they are able to provide certain ideas or certain leadership opportunities for individuals there in their community. And in the event, and hopefully nothing ever happens again, but in the event there is another health issue throughout our country, they'll be prepared and they'll know how to move forward accordingly. So we'll have that connection with them. And then we're going to bring everybody together. There were several other grantees in the state. We're going to bring everybody on our team and all the grantees together, and we're going to have a statewide health summit. So we're going to bring everybody together, and we're going to identify best practices, challenges, and how we move forward. So just very quickly, these are just some promising practices that we noticed while we were working with this. And the first one is we take a community building approach to health equity. Like I stated earlier, it's all about the community. And so when we go into communities, we look at assets and how can we utilize those assets to accomplish the goals or to help us with improving health equity in this particular community. So that's our mantra, that's our focus. We want to take this community building approach to health equity. Positive motivational messaging that really gets individuals excited. We have realized that was really needed for this particular project, for these kickoffs, for these retreats, for these various events that we're doing in the local community. That motivational messaging is really powerful. And so if you're not doing that in your communities, I would absolutely encourage you to do that because that really makes a difference. This asset-based approach, we've already talked about that, but again, we wanted to look at the assets. We wanted to tell people, you have resources. In every town, city, or neighborhood I've gone in, especially in Alabama, I can tell you they have great people, they have talented people, and there's a whole lot of churches. There's a whole lot of churches around, and I'm sure it's probably like that here too, but there are a whole lot of churches around in Alabama, as well as land, available land and available space. And so we started there. We looked at all of our assets and we said, hey, we could make a way forward based off of those things, for sure. We wanted to build local ownership. Again, it wasn't about us. We may be leading this effort. We may have applied and received the grant, but this is your project. I need for you to take ownership of this project. That's why we're an open book. We're inviting everybody to the table. We want to know your ideas, your thoughts. Now we have limited resources, so we can't do everything, but we want you at the table. We want to hear your voice, and then we want you to lead this effort with our assistance and with us helping you to develop resources and partnerships. So we really wanted to do that, but this is your project. That's what we're telling our local communities. And last but not least, I just think having an outstanding, diverse, and inclusive team has certainly been essential to the success of this overall project. I've already told you about the diversity of the team, and I tell you, this program would not be as successful if we didn't have the types of leaders and the type of team members that we have. So we're very thankful and grateful to all of our team leaders that are participating on that team. So just quickly, some early successes. We've hosted some health clinics, some pop-up clinics. We've hosted some community fairs. And as you can see, we're telling people, hey, promote your culture. We want your culture to be front and center. We appreciate you. You matter to us. And we wanted them to know that, hey, we're here to help you. And so we have, you see the youth there involved. You can't really tell on the outdoor event right there on the top line there, but again, that was kind of an outdoor back to school festival. And so again, very celebratory music. It was just a great overall time that we had there, and we certainly appreciate that. Now, I put the word challenges because many people would view these as challenges, but we really don't. We view these as opportunities, and not just simple opportunities, but great opportunities. So, for instance, working with hard to reach, often overlooked communities sometimes can be difficult. We pride ourselves on that. We love going into the communities, knocking on doors, inviting them to meetings. Yes, and in some communities, everyone's not paying attention to email. Everyone's not on Facebook or Instagram. It takes the old-fashioned way of knocking on the door, meeting them at church, meeting them out at a local restaurant. We want you to participate. That is all over the place, and they really appreciate that. Building trust, building relationships, and overcoming past histories of neglect requires time. When we go into these communities, we're not just saying, hey, let's move forward. We're saying, yeah, you have experienced some injustices, and we want to hear about it. We want to talk about it. So we're not trying to hide the past, because the past has already occurred. We're not trying to hide the past. We want you to bring your issues forward to us. Let's sit down, let's discuss them, and how do we move forward knowing that? And we want everybody to be involved because everybody is a part of the solution. Community members from small towns are very busy. They're very busy, and in many cases, it's the same group of individuals. And so we know and we understand that and we honor that, and that's why we've tried to help build additional partners and stakeholders that we wanted to bring to the table that could assist these particular groups. And that's why we especially wanted to get the youth involved, because the youth is so very important. And then last but certainly not least, committing to equity requires facing historic and systemic injustices. And even to this day, one of our Native American groups, they said they were at a facility and someone told them, you're not welcome here. You should go back where you came from. And again, we didn't appreciate that. And so we wanted to have a conversation about that. And we're helping them to address those particular issues. And we had the opportunity to meet with the administrators at the Department of Public Health, and they voiced their opinions. They voiced their realities, I should say, to the administrators at the Department of Public Health. See, we're not trying to hide it. We want it out in the open because that's how we move forward. We don't move forward by trying to forget about it or trying to act as if it did not exist. It did exist, and we need to make sure that us as administrators, yes, you can give that. You can give that around. Yes, I appreciate that because it did exist, and we're not going to move forward trying to act like it did not. And so we want that front and center. And like I said, we want their culture front and center because they matter, and we wanted to let them know that they matter, which is extremely important. In another community, just a very quick story. There were 4 different groups. There were, I would say, a wealthy group, a wealthy white group. There were working class blacks. Another group was working class whites. And then another group was working class, a working class Hispanic community. And the problem in that community is that everybody kind of had their own little focus. No one was willing to work together. And so us, as the neutral facilitator, we're willing to go and we're willing to have that conversation. They want us to facilitate a conversation on race in that community to see how they can move forward, and we are absolutely okay with that. And every community will be a little different. And so what we do in one community might not necessarily be the same, but we have a structure and a process in place to address whatever issues we need to address in these various communities. And so right now we're currently getting ready to have that conversation, and we know it's going to be a heated conversation. But that's okay. That's all right. As they say, we ain't scared. We ain't scared. We're gonna address the issues at hand. But you know what? We're gonna bring everybody to the table because we have nothing to hide, and we're gonna address the issue, and we're gonna move forward as a community. And that's exactly what we're trying to do for every community in the state of Alabama. And we're starting with these communities that are part of this initiative. So we're super excited about that. But I want you to envision this very quickly. So think about the model that I've described to you here today. Just to yourself, think about what you can do in the city of Milwaukee. Think about taking that model and having a local liaison in a neighborhood. And I know you have several wonderful neighborhoods here in Milwaukee. So think about a liaison in that community. Think about bringing an adult group together, a youth group together, finding a healing space or a healing zone in one of those communities, and having maybe a statewide or a citywide organization to lead that effort. Just think about that, and think about the amazing possibilities of what can occur. And this is something that I want you to do. This is my challenge for you, if you will. I call this beating the odds. I would ask that you write this down. So number one, beating the odds. I'm focusing on odd numbers only. So number one, I want you to identify a goal, just one goal that you would like to pursue, okay? One goal you want to pursue. 3, identify 3 activities or strategies that can help you achieve that one goal. 5, identify 5 potential funding sources that could assist with your initiative. Identify 5 potential funding sources that could assist with that initiative. 7, try to find 7 partners or individuals that could assist you in this effort to accomplish this goal. And then 9, I want you to do this for 90 days, 90 days. And at the end of 3 months, I want you to assess where you are. And I'm willing to bet you that you will have made significant progress in just 90 days, just 3 months. We've done things like this in Alabama, and it has been so helpful because, again, it shows people that, yes, you are only one, but you are extremely powerful and you can do something. If it's only one person, because that one person could be the impetus for so much more that's occurring in our communities and in this great city. So think about that. And I challenge you to do that. And I would love to hear some of your responses in terms of the ideas that you're thinking of and your results around that 90-day mark. I would love to hear that. And so there's 2 choices in life. And please forgive me, but I did not make these 2 choices. But one choice is to accept conditions as they are, or to accept the responsibility for changing them. So if things are okay and you're fine with the way things are, that's fine. You can just simply accept things how they are, or you can accept the responsibility for changing them. And so I'll leave those 2 questions with you, and you can decide which path you want to go down. So I want you all to please stay connected with me. This is my contact information. I have my email address there. That is my work cell phone. So if you call that number, you can get me. I travel a lot, but I really want to hear from you all. And then you see our website there, Alabama.Org, and our social media information is there as well. So what I want to do, I want to pause for just a moment. I want to take a few questions, and then I have some concluding remarks, and that will be the end of my presentation. So if I could just pause for right now, and maybe we'll try to take at least 3 questions from the audience. So do you all have any questions? Okay, we have one over here.
When you mentioned about the assets in the community, it dawned on me that many times we're talking about turning over our money and our dollars within the community. But have you ever thought about arranging to turn over your money within the household itself? And that can be done by whatever, let's say like a home equity loan, you pay $1,000.
Sure.
I mean, I know, but just as an example, you pay $1,000 to pay for what to handle your requirement for monthly payment, and then out of that you write a check for a smaller bill, so that if the $1,000 paid and settled that payment due, then the next payment might be $500. You can use that home equity to pay the other bill, so actually that $1,000 now becomes $1,500. Have you ever thought about? That's what I was referring to, turning over the money within your household.
Sure. Yes, ma'am. Appreciate the question. For the most part, we have not focused on personal finances per se. We focus on like the community assets per se, but we have brought in individuals to do workshops on financial literacy. And we've certainly focused on financial literacy for our youth. And so we have what they call real life. I think some people may refer to it as reality check, but we work with the youth in terms of asking them, okay, what kind of job do you want to have? And based off of that job, you're going to make this much money. And so this is how much you need to save if you want to have this kind of house or this kind of car. So it's really an engaging activity and exercise. And we have done some small business training as well too, so that if somebody wants to start a business, they can save up enough money to hopefully try to do that. And so we bring in individuals to talk about those things, but we as a unit, we have not collectively only focused on that, but financial literacy is a part of what we're doing in these various communities. Okay. Another question.
Good afternoon, right over here. Oh, other side.
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
All right.
Hi.
Hi.
What are some of the strategies you have for your community liaisons to connect to their respective communities?
Yeah, great question. We actually have a curriculum, I would call it. Most people would call it a guidebook, but we have key things in there identified to help them. Now, most of these individuals are already well connected to their communities, but sometimes they just need a little guidance and a little assistance from us. And so we already have partners in most of these communities as well. We know people, and so we will invite them to reach out to these individual groups or individuals, and they will do that. We also encourage them to reach out to local churches. Many of them are well familiar with those churches there, so that's been really great in terms of connecting with individuals there locally. They have also reached out to the school systems. They will participate in public events, and so we'll ask them to participate in public events. And so we try to incorporate things like that into our strategy. We try to provide this guidebook that will help to lead them, but many of them are already well connected. And if they need us, we will come there and assist them and facilitate whatever type of meetings or facilitate whatever type of connections that need to be made. And so we have a really good team. We know people in all of our communities, even previously before we went in. And so we kind of went in with the idea that, yes, we want to work with this person, and if this person needs some assistance, then we can help connect the dots, so to speak, in that local community. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good afternoon. Thank you for your very powerful message and the wonderful work you're doing in Alabama.
Thank you.
So, as you referenced Milwaukee, we have some good things going on.
Oh, absolutely.
We have some great things going on,
Absolutely.
actually, but we have to gain that traction and get that momentum that we need to move forward. With that, I wanted to talk about, or ask you rather, about advocacy. In Milwaukee, we've become a bit complacent in the last few decades, not really knowing our true voice and our power to move things forward. What did you do to spark advocacy beyond your community liaisons, like really internalizing advocacy and having your community advocate for more?
Yeah, great question. That was actually very simple for us because the individuals we selected, the community liaisons, these were individuals that were already advocating for their community for the most part. Some of them needed a little bit of guidance and assistance, some of them not so much. But again, these are underserved communities. And so when we went to them, that was the whole purpose of us saying, hey, this is a community-driven project. So this project is going to be successful based off of you, off of your effort, based off of your community's effort. And we wanted to make them aware of that. In doing so, though, we did advise them on strategies that they could engage in that would assist them in terms of voicing their opinions and advocating on their behalf. So to give you a quick example, we invited the administrators from the Department of Public Health. We put together this meeting and we said, hey, we have the top level administrators coming here, and we want you to invite several members from your community to come. And we gave them a list of potential things to talk about. And we said, we want you to go and to tell these administrators exactly what you're experiencing in your community. And we had that in an open discussion. And so they came, they spoke about their issues, and the Department of Public Health, they heard those issues directly. And when the Department of Public Health got back to the offices, they were already sending out emails, making some changes because of what they heard at that particular meeting. So those are the types of convening things that we can do. We can convene people, we can bring people together. We can bring in the administrators that are kind of over the grant. We can bring in other partners and stakeholders throughout the state, and we can make sure these these communities that have been overlooked for so long, we can make sure their voices are heard. And so that's the first thing. And then we also, it's about building capacity. And so that's why we're working with Dr. Grinnell and Frank Martinelli. He's developed some videos for us. We want to educate them on what does advocacy look like. And these are some steps. They have a really good idea because they've already been doing a lot of this for their communities, but we want to say, hey, these are some strategies that others have utilized and it's worked for them, and we want you to consider doing this in your communities as well. So, but it's been a great process, and many of our community liaisons, they were already speaking out and advocating on behalf of their community. So we just helped them a little bit, but it was really great. Okay. Maybe one or two more quick questions, if we have one. Okay.
I have one here. One of the things that I'm most impressed about is your ability to collaborate across cultures.
Yes.
Can you speak to the importance of that one voice, what that truly represents from a philanthropic standpoint, from an elected standpoint, and from just a one vision for community standpoint?
Yeah, great question. I think this is the first time that our office has ever worked on a project that involved the various demographic groups all at one time for a single project. We work with the Asian community for a specific project. We work with the Hispanic community for a specific project, but bring all those cultures together for this one initiative was the first time that we've ever done something like that. It's been amazing because, again, like I said, we want your culture front and center, and we don't try to run away from the historical injustices that a lot of these communities have faced. We put that front and center. And we also want to hear from you because we feel that we can learn from every community. And so while we're out at these team trainings or community meetings, we want them to acknowledge their culture. So if you dress a certain way, we want you to dress a certain way. If you have certain foods or things like that that you tend to eat, or certain religious practices, we want you to engage in that because, again, we're saying to you, you matter, and we're here to assist you. And that's just how important you are to us. In terms of getting everybody on the same page, I would say as far as our team and the local groups, it hasn't been that difficult because, again, we did this project by having these criteria identified, and so everyone knew exactly why the group was selected. We brought them to the table, and initially that's exactly what we did. We brought everybody together, and we just celebrated their successes, their cultures, and we literally would go around and in some of our introductions and things like that, we would say, tell us about your culture. We want to know. Tell us about your situation. We want to know. And so this was a part of us building relationships, but it doesn't stop there. Like I was saying earlier, we're in these communities every day, all day. Those local liaisons are, but me personally, I try to get around to as many communities as I possibly can because I want them to know, hey, yes, I might be leading this effort, but I want to be there in your community with you to show you just how important it is. And so as a result, I really think that we've been able to build this one message, this one vision, because of the trust that they have for us. When we went in, vaccinations was a big deal. Some people didn't, they were anti-vax. We didn't go in saying, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. We went in to listen to them, and to not just to listen to them to reply, but to listen to them to understand. That was very important. And so we would go in, we would meet with them. The Department of Public Health, they had some information that they wanted us to disseminate in those local communities. But it wasn't about you need to do this, you need to, no, it was like, okay, tell me your situation. I want to understand how are you feeling about this and what can I do to assist? And so it was that time, it was time consuming, but it was that kind of messaging, it was that kind of effort that really helped us to build trust in these local communities. And as a result, we've gotten individuals on board that typically would not be on board in terms of what we're trying to accomplish. But I can't say that it's all worked out because unfortunately we do have a few individuals within certain areas that are not necessarily on board with what we're trying to do. And again, we still invite them to the meetings because we want them to be a part of it. But there's momentum growing not only throughout these communities, but throughout the state. And so we feel that eventually, if we reach out to them enough times, that we'll hopefully win them over. And even if we don't win them over, we're doing some great work, and so we're gonna do it anyway. So we're gonna keep on, like I said, right now. So we're starting on this right now, and we're so excited to have the opportunity to do this. I'm gonna go ahead and close, and I'll be around just very briefly because I have a flight back to Atlanta. But if you'll start the last piece, please. If you will, yes, just the last song, if you'll play that, please. If you'll take out your cell phones for me, very, very quickly, just take out your cell phones. There's a flashlight function on your phone. If you'll turn on your flashlights and face it towards me, if you'll stand up and do this, please stand, face your lights forward. Face your lights forward, come on. So, look around, what do you see? What do you see when you look around? You see some committed individuals, right? You see some caring individuals, right? You see some talented individuals who really care a lot about what they're doing. But look around, there's something you're missing. What do you see? Look around, what do you see? Tell me, what do you see? This is what I see. I see individuals that are still standing. I see individuals that are still standing. You've gone through so much in these communities, and you haven't always been perfect. You know, we failed, we struggled, but you're still standing. You still have an opportunity to go in and to do some absolutely amazing work. So thank you for all that you've done. And remember this, because I was like this. I couldn't necessarily do everything that I wanted to do, but then I remembered something that Mother Teresa said, and it was so very powerful, and I want to share that message with you. She said that if you can't feed them all, feed one. If you can't feed them all, feed one. And so if you can't save every person or everything in your community, start with one. And I can assure you that that will make a significant difference. So continue to stand up, continue to stand strong, realize your power, realize your strength. It starts from within. And because of who you are, the city of Milwaukee, the state of Wisconsin, and our nation is going to be in a much better place. So hold your lights high. Hold your lights high. Let your lights continue to shine. And please go out there and continue to do the great work that you're doing. Thank you all very much for your time today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.